Chapter 19. Team Building. Meet up with a Mensch. The letter from the IRS still weighed on Jamal's mind. You get one letter, Jamal thought, pretty soon you'll get another, and soon after that, you're going to be in some kind of trouble. Okay, got to figure this out, Jamal thought. Where to start? Damn, Jamal said out loud to himself. He even gave himself a dope slap. He shook his head, marveling at his own stupidity. Jamal grabbed his notebook, walked out the door, and headed for the Pacific Avenue branch library. Mrs. Ross checked him in for computer time. Workstation number 7, she said. It was a little out of the way, tucked in a corner. Jamal liked it. She recommended that he start with the IRS.gov website, and soon Jamal was finding answers to most of his questions. For one thing, he learned there was no legal requirement to file a tax return if you didn't owe any taxes. That's a relief, Jamal thought. But even so, why did I get that letter? Mrs. Ross came to where Jamal was working. She had several books and a suggestion. The IRS has a special program, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. Everyone refers to it as VITA. Volunteers, some of them with a lot of experience, help people with their taxes. A lot of seniors come in. It's very popular, she said. Well, I'm not sure whether I actually had to file a return, Jamal said. I'm still trying to figure out why I got this letter. One of the VITA volunteers, Ben Israel, runs the program, Mrs. Ross said. Maybe he'd be willing to help you out. He's a very nice man. A mensch. A mensch? Jamal said. It's a Yiddish word. Look it up, she said, spelling it out for him. We keep in touch by email, so I have his address. If you're interested, I could send him a message with your contact information. Well, sure, Jamal said. I'm still using that email address you helped me set up. He wrote out his email address on a slip of paper and gave it to Mrs. Ross. You can tell him I'm digging in on the IRS website, but I would really appreciate it if an expert could help me confirm what I think I know. 2 days later, Ben Israel and Jamal met in one of the library's quiet study rooms. A mensch, it turned out, was a decent and responsible person, and a person of integrity and honor, and someone to admire and emulate with a strong sense of right and wrong. As soon as he met Mr. Israel, Jamal knew Mrs. Ross was right. Mr. Israel was short, thin, and almost entirely bald, and he was an old guy, almost as old as Miss Booth, Jamal thought, and he seemed just as sharp. He was a retired certified public accountant, so he knew a lot about taxes. He was really funny, too. Your assumption about last year is correct, Mr. Israel said after listening to Jamal's description of his situation and his take on it. You don't need to file a return for last year, the year you spent mostly in prison. The state pay that you describe isn't going to put you in a taxable income bracket. Did you have any additional earnings during that calendar year? Well, like I said, I worked off the books for a guy, a little delivery and collection work. No W-2s involved? Israel said. No 1099s? You mean any kind of official forms or money getting reported? Nah, the way that kind of business is conducted is strictly cash. Now, what you need to focus on is what you are going to do going forward, Israel said. With your work at the meatpacking house and the auto parts store, all of that is being reported? Yes, sir, Jamal said, but I am still doing odd jobs, snow shoveling and stuff like that, so I get little bits of money, mostly cash from a bunch of people. Okay, now if you really want to handle this correctly, live up to the letter of the law. You need to keep records for all that income, amount earned, who paid you, when you received the payment, that sort of thing. Now the letter from the IRS, Israel continued, we can't be positive, but is it possible that you earned more than $600 from some company? Israel asked. Anytime a company pays someone $600 or more, the company is required to send the individual and the IRS information about it. That information is generally referred to as a 1099. Any chance someone sent you a 1099 last year? No, sir, Jamal said. Okay, Mr. Israel said. Going forward, here are a couple of things to be careful about, Mr. Israel continued. That $600 figure isn't written in stone anywhere. Tax laws change. When you're an independent businessman, you have to pay attention to them and the changes that affect you. Also, There's always the possibility that the IRS received a 1099 from someone, but you didn't, so you don't know that the income was reported. Whenever you receive pay from a reputable company, it should keep track of how much you have earned and send you and the IRS 1099 forms. Keep that in mind when tax time comes around. And what about that letter I got? Jamal said. Probably something the computer system at the IRS created automatically. The systems there are highly automated, especially for dealing with simple tax returns. The letter has instructions on it, Mr. Israel said. Based on what you said, you don't have anything to worry about. Follow the instructions and call the IRS. What? Jamal said. Talk to the IRS? Why not? Israel said. There are some terrific people who work for the IRS. Very helpful to tax professionals, like I was. They can be a great help when assisting people with tax concerns like you. But all you ever hear about them... The agency has suffered from a lot of bad press, Israel said. You want a great country? Great parks? Great schools? Great roads? You have to pay for it. All I ask for is that it be fair. Everybody pay a fair share. The people who work at the Internal Revenue Service are hard-working public servants, and they try to make that happen. Talk to the IRS, Jamal said. They can be very helpful, Israel said. And now, for you going forward, you have some challenges, Israel said. Since you have 2 primary employers, plus the odds and ends of work you are picking up, you need to keep careful records. As I told you before, log all your extra income, the source, the amount, and date. When you have business expenses, keep track of them too. It may not be important to you right now, but these are good habits to develop as you get more successful and have more income. And in your investigations on IRS.gov, make sure you learn about the Earned Income Tax Credit, the EITC, Israel said. Based on what you told me, I think that might come into effect for you when you file your tax return for this year. EITC, Jamal repeated, writing in his notebook. When tax time comes around, starting about the end of January next year, come see me, Israel said. We'll be setting up our VITA program again here in the library. Yes, sir, Mr. Israel. Yes, sir. I'm an old man, so a little respect, I can live with that. But please, just call me Ben. Jamal smiled and shook the older man's hand. Thank you, Ben. More coffee and more. Now, this part basically says that anything I got, in case I die, will go to Jamila. And over here, Jamal said, pointing to another part of the document, that specifies that until she is either 21 years old or she graduates from college, that you as her mom will control any assets. Nearly empty coffee cups bracketed 2 stacks of paperwork. Right now, my estate is nothing, Jamal said. I owe more than I got. That's changing, but for now, there are no assets. But here, he said, moving to the other pile of paperwork, is an insurance policy. Not much, only $50,000, but it is something, and, well, it's a start. Also, I got some insurance through my job at the packing plant. That would be included in the estate, and if there was any accidental death benefit or anything, that would be in there too. I mean, I know it ain't all that much. Drop in the bucket. But I thought you should know so that, just in case, you can be prepared. Just trying to plan ahead a little bit. Jamal was running out of words. Natalie just sat there across the booth from him. Jamal couldn't tell exactly what she was thinking, except that she wasn't mad at him. He knew that for sure. Jamal? She said, finally breaking a long silence. Jamal, damned if I don't think you are growing up. Sunday dinner. Summer. The usual suspects, Jamal, the Rev, and Gunny, gathered around the grill in Gunny's backyard to admire dinner. These men were carnivores. The objects of their admiration were 3 thick, beautifully marbled USDA prime steaks. Not what you find at the supermarket, Jamal said as he prepared them for grilling with salt and pepper. Jamal had insisted on bringing the main course this evening. Mr. Markowski over at the butcher shop, he set these aside for us last week, Jamal said. A little aging, he told me, would help concentrate the flavor. Gunny was still making a few adjustments with the grill. Steak that fine, nothing but searing over an open flame will do, he had said. Now he was spreading the bed of charcoal, adding some wood chips, and fanning the coals to get the grill just right for the main course. Plates and utensils, side dishes, and condiments were ready and waiting on the dinner table. We will not have this fine dinner disrupted by the arrival of any gnats or mosquitoes, the Rev had said, expressing his preference for indoor seating. Gunny raked the coals, then got everything red hot using a fan. Give it a minute now to settle down. Give the grate a scrape and a little oil, and we are ready to go, he said. The high heat of the August afternoon had faded. Humidity was low. The yard was exceptionally pleasant. The Rev was right, though. Another 10 or 20 minutes and the bugs would begin to arrive. Yo, how are things going? Gunny asked as they stood back, waiting for the precise right moment to put the steaks on the heat. It's scary, Jamal said. Scary good. I'm getting more hours at the parts store. Worked 6 hours today. I got assigned to the logistics department at the packing house. Getting a little more money and learning a lot about shipping, receiving, and scheduling. It was time. Jamal put the steaks on. Number of big debts I still have, I've cut that in half, and the total is way less than half. More like a third from where I started. What happened? How'd you get this far so fast? Gunny said. Did you get lucky? Win the lottery or something? Aw, come on, Gunny, you know I've been working my backside off. Of course you have, Gunny said. And all the good stuff that's happening, maybe it's on account of you having a good plan based on the rules we keep throwing at you. That and you busting your butt. He pointed at the grill. Might want to be thinking about turning those steaks, he said. At least one for me. I put my order in for rare. Jamal turned the steaks. They looked great. You getting along okay with Natalie? The Rev asked. Yeah, Jamal said. Yeah, that part is scary good too. And I'm spending time with Jamila. I made out a will. Rev knows about that 'cause he's my executor. And I bought an insurance policy. Went over all that with Natalie and she sounded impressed. You know, Gunny, you kept telling me that I was going to war and fighting battles, and you were right, at least for a while. But now, doesn't quite feel the same. Gunny said, maybe that's on account of your winning. Jamal, pay attention to the stakes, the Rev said. I'm thinking it's just about time. You're right, old man, Jamal said. It's about time. Let's eat.